Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. Now, originally I wasn't going to make this video, but there was just so many comments that are people telling me they agreed with me and that they wanted to hear my opinion, so here we are. So, recently, there's been this movement to hashtag remove random crits from Team Fortress 2, and there's this specific YouTuber out there who has made a video explaining why they should be removed, but because I find it unlikely they would want to be associated with me, I decided not to include them in this video, but I'm sure you all know who I'm talking about. Now, as a person, he's a great guy, and I like their content, and I don't think they're bad at all. I still think you should watch them, but they did happen to make a video, and I disagree with them, so this is just here for me to share my opinion. Now, in the event that I come across as arrogant, negative, or hurtful, I don't intend to be mean or rude at all. I'm just trying to be a nice and calm voice of reason, and state my opinion, and just let it be that, my opinion. Anyways, you probably know what random crits are, otherwise you probably shouldn't be watching this video if I'm frank. So after doing a bit of digging around, there are several points that supporters of removing random crits tend to bring up in their arguments. Random crits are unfair. This one does have some room to stand on, but albeit not a lot. Random crits may be unfair. You may die to a rocket that you had no business dying to. You could have mapped out what you were going to do in your head, planned your strategy, and yet you lost despite your foolproof plan. Perhaps you even lost the game due to a random crit, but really this doesn't matter because you're playing casual. It had this relaxed environment where if you lost, it wasn't the end of the world because another round was just about to begin. However, ever since the removal of pubs, rounds have now some sort of meaning because after 2 rounds, the server refreshes or changes map, which means you gotta get the most bang for your buck when you're playing on a map you actually enjoy. I have a lot of beef about this entire system, and I believe because of this, it has made the community more geared towards winning, and naturally, when you lose to a random crit, you feel somewhat bad if you're that focused on winning. But I feel like this is more of a problem with the community rather than the actual mechanics in the game. Why can't we, as free-thinking human beings, take a step back, breathe, and realize it's just a game? You're playing a casual game with no actual stakes. You get random crits as well, so there will be some times when you didn't deserve that kill, much like how you didn't deserve this death. I'd consider random crits fair in the sense that we all get them, eventually. I know it's not a mathematical formula, but as the saying goes, it all evens out in the end. I'm sure you get the occasional random crit, just as I'm sure you'll die by the occasional random crit, unless you play engineer a lot, because sentries don't randomly crit, which is the engineer's primary way of attacking. So yeah, I guess if you play engineer a lot, random crits are pretty annoying. But maybe that's just me. I don't usually get heated up, so perhaps I'm out of touch from the player base. Fine. Let's say winning matters the most to you, and you want to play a game where there is no random chance that you may lose. There's this thing called competitive, and this everyone takes the game as seriously as you do, and there are no random crits, so it's entirely up to you on how well you will do, and... No? You don't want to play competitive despite your competitive mindset? Alright. Fine, let's try and compromise on a solution to make casual a place where all gamers can have a fun time. Oh, you don't want to find a middle ground either. Great. Middle ground is not an option. Okay, right off the bat, I think the best fix to the random crit dilemma is to make random crits only applicable to melee weapons. I understand why a random rocket that does 270 damage or a pipe that does 300 damage may be annoying and can lower your enjoyment of the game, but when it's only melees, it actually entices people to pull out their melee for more than just a utility or backup plan. But more on that in just a bit, because apparently finding middle ground is off the table. Okay, listen, when 2 people disagree and neither will change their mind, I believe in finding a solution that will have both parties as mutually content as they can be. Just as a person, I like finding a compromise that allows people I may not agree with to be happy while still allowing me to be happy. However, the figurehead of this movement has made it very clear they do not want to compromise. Which I understand from a dramatic aspect, it's much more theatrical, but from a practical standpoint, would you really want to divide a community that hard? Do you really want this to be an all or none type solution? Because, I mean, in history, these solutions tend to be mediocre at best. Like, why in God's earth does such a simple subject like this need to be an all or none? Why can't there be a nice middle ground that everyone's happy? There are so many possible compromises that I feel could make everyone happy, such as making random crits much more uncommon, or making them melee only, or by reducing the amount of damage a random crit does, or by any other number of solutions. Seriously, just on a personal level, I can't sympathize with anyone who's not willing to meet another person in the middle ground. It's a very childish way of going about debating in my opinion, and it actually bothers me in both the real world and the virtual world when people can't try to find the best solution for everyone. Dated mechanic. Okay, so this is kind of a moot point because half the mechanics from TF2 are as dated as this, but I get where people are coming from. Random crits just don't really seem needed with all the other things in the modern day TF2 that make it as random as possible, but I wouldn't say random crits are really in TF2 to make it balanced. I'd actually say the opposite. Random crits are in casual because it gives off this sense of hope. Now, I'm sure that sounds pretty melodramatic, so let me explain. If you have 3 health, no ammo, and you see a full health medic running at you with the Uber Saw, what do? You could run, but a medic would probably catch you, so all you got left to do is walk at him and die, because he takes more than 1 melee hit, so if your only solution is to die, why not kill bind and get a quicker respawn? Well, that's because random crits, my friend. You'll charge at this medic with the hope that you'll one-hit him. Even though you have no business winning this fight, it still gives you a fighting chance. No gimmick saying that the less health you have, the more likely you are to win. No weapons giving you a special bonus. No weird solar flare causing the servers to crash. Just pure, unfiltered hope that you'll be able to pull off the impossible. This sense of hope is why people in casual do such stupid things all the time, like charging the enemy even though they only have 1 rocket left. And personally, I think it's great. This is the last essence of pubs that still lurk around in casual servers. The stupid, aggressive, chaotic sense that anything could happen, even if it appears like an open and shut case. Once this is removed, casual will be essentially 12v12 competitive, and the pub scene will be confirmed dead. But I do hear your criticism about how this may be teaching new players to play carelessly. Misinforms new players. Okay, for the most part, I give people the benefit of the doubt. I'd like to believe people are smart enough to understand that random crits aren't in a game mode if people tell them they're not in a certain game mode. As it stands right now, there's no sign anywhere that says random crits are removed from the competitive game mode in the actual game. In order to know this, you gotta do some reading elsewhere, which I feel like this is more of a problem with the game being harder for new players to pick up than it is random crits' fault. In fact, I think this entire point about random crits teaching players the wrong way to be good at the game is due to how lackluster the current training system is. Honestly, I feel like this should be more with current movement, #update training, or something. But nah, let's get auto balance removed from the casual aspect of the game so it's balanced. I mean, shit, random crits, my bad. Honestly, I feel like if we explained what random crits are to new players, they'd be able to understand the concept, and they'd be able to take it at face value. It's not that hard of a concept. I trust human beings to be able to understand it. Boost community servers. Alright, this point is probably the stupidest point I've had to argue this entire time. This is the claim that once random crits are removed from casual, community servers that feature random crits would be boosted because of it. Take a second to realize this argument is completely bonkers, because you could say the exact same thing about community servers that run no random crits and how they should be boosted because it's in casual. But as we all know by the failure of the TF crew servers, it's not that simple. Community servers won't get a boost because of a change in casual. It'll just alter the way the player base thinks and acts. Counterpoints. Melee fighting would die. So, as I briefly mentioned before, melee fights are much more interesting with random crits, and I know a lot of melees in the game aren't designed to be an actual weapon, but there are a bundle that are already neglected as it is. Why put a nail coffin and make melee fighting even more obsolete and casual? Weapons like KGB and the half Satoichi are going to essentially disappear because the bonus they give off is directly tied to getting melee kills, while weapons like the Escape Plan and Fist of Steel will only become much more prominent. If random crits are removed from melee, it's no longer going to be this tense bopping and weaving because there's no longer the potential threat that one shot could kill you, or at least seriously injure you. It'll just come down to who has more health when the conflict begins. Sure, it's more balanced, but it loses the factor that made melee combat interesting and unpredictable. Melee weapons would become a thing of the past, and they'd only be used for passive benefits, like moving faster, which personally I'd miss. I enjoy using a melee as a weapon every now and again. Obviously, they're not the best choice, but random crits allow melees to be somewhat useful, at least in a relaxed casual setting. It's a necessary evil. Personally, I think the people that are protesting random crits are a lot like the people that protested auto balance. It's removing a feature that helped the flow of a casual game in the name of balance, which, as we all know, auto balance was a needed feature and it was re-added back after a long, tedious hiatus. Once random crits are removed, I can see 2 major things happening: a more toxic player base and the death of pubs. I won't lie to you, yes, crits suck and I'm not going to pretend like they benefit new players, but while they don't benefit the physical game mechanics, they benefit the psychosocial aspects of the game. They allow new players to have an excuse to why they died rather than blaming their teammates or getting annoyed by any other number of factors. At the end of the day, random crits are kind of like the fall guy of TF2. If someone who gets upset when they die falls to a random crit, they can blame the random crit rather than the medic who wasn't healing them. Generally, people who get angry in casual will always find something to complain about, so at least with random crits it gives them an emotionless mechanic and not a person with feelings. Of course, this isn't foolproof. Naturally, people will get irritated at other things other than random crits, but at least it allows some of that anger to be taken out into a different area rather than all on the free-to-play medic who doesn't know how to use Ubercharge. Like, there is a stupid amount of people that complain about a random crit when they would have died irregardless. Real problems. But I think at the end of this video, we're all missing the big picture here. Random crits should not be the priority of discussion at this moment. Sure, we may feel one way about this or that, and I think I've made my opinion on them pretty clear by now. But realistically, we got bigger things to complain about. Like, how come it's almost been a year since the last major update? How come competitive only has 6v6? Why hasn't there been any sort of incentive to play competitive? What happened to crates? And what's with this randomly assigned value of items based off the quality Valve deems it at? Why was the last MVM update almost 5 years ago? How come the last Valve-produced Halloween update was 4 years ago? Why does there have to be a casual or competitive community? Why can't there be a middle ground? Why do we as a community have such a strong mob mentality? All of these are bigger issues, yet here we are debating over whether or not random crits should be kept in a completely meaningless, random, casual setting. By turning casual into 12v12 comp, you're only ignoring the actual issues here, at least in my opinion. But hey, what are you gonna do? I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Feel free to share it around, I don't really give a fuck. As always, have a swell rest of your day, and peace out.